Joy seekers, joy givers, you are at the right place. It's Deb McGregor. It's our fall infusion of joy series. Today we are talking all about wine because why not? And to welcome our special guest, Karen Acker. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Deb, very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited because, A, I love talking to you, but B, we're talking all about wine.
Yes, how can you not be excited about that?
I know, like it's amazing. So, Karen, I wanted to start off, like a lot of people are like, first of all, Why Not is a wine bar. So let's talk a little bit about what Why Not is. So as we're going through the conversation, people understand what we're talking about.
Absolutely. So Why Not is there's three facets actually to Why Not. So it's the wine bar. So I serve wine by the glass, by the bottle. I do wine tasting flights. So you can get like a sampling of 4 different wines. I have appetizers, cheesecake for dessert, that kind of stuff. Then I have a event space called the Grape Escape Room. And that's where I do a lot of events. I plan a lot myself, like the paint and sips, all those kinds of things. And then I also have that available for rental I've done baby showers, bridal showers, birthday parties, 50th wedding anniversaries, whatever. And then the last segment that I just added is a at-home winemaking kits. So I sell all the kits and supplies and equipment so people that make wine at home or want to learn how to do that can purchase all their supplies at Why Not.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So what prompted you to start Why Not in the first place?
Yeah, that's kind of a fun story. So I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and wine bars were becoming quite the fad or the thing in Omaha. And so we were actually planning a move here to Park Rapids, buying another business. And I noticed that they did not have a wine bar in Park Rapids. And so I kind of took the concept. I've loved wine for a very, very long time. I knew I was an entrepreneur and wanted to do something with it. And then when we came to Park Rapids to buy this other business, it was like the perfect fit. And so that's how it all started.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm really curious about, so when a person is going to start a wine bar, what are all the different things that you have to think about? Because it's not just about the wines.
No, it's not. So, finding a good location. So knowing that Park Rapids did not have one, that was really my first step, was trying to find this perfect location. So I'm on Main Street, which is great, but I also wanted a little bit of outdoor space so I could, we have such short summers here in northern Minnesota. So I wanted to be able to allow space where people can go and sit outside as well. And so that's kind of the first thing I did. And then, it's about getting the building, once you have it, getting it ready. You have to go through the whole health department, and then you have to get your liquor license. And it was just a whole big mirage of things that I had to go through to get it to actually where it was open and ready for business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. And of course, you had to start picking your wines. So yes. How does a person go about picking wines for a wine bar? Because everybody has an opinion about, well, this wine is the best.
Oh, for sure. And that was probably my biggest struggle. So what I did was I knew some that I loved myself. I knew the staples, the Cab Sauvignon, the Sauvignon Blancs, the Pinot Grigios, the Pinot Noirs, all those that are very Moscato, all those that everyone knows. So I knew I needed those. So then I went to a distributor. They're actually based out of the cities, New France. And I met with my distributor and I just said, here I'm starting this. What would you recommend? And I wanted to do wines that were not just, they could just get anywhere. So I wanted wines from around the world, but I also wanted to feature some local wines. And so I knew of the wineries in town or in Minnesota that I wanted to work with, based on being there and trying their wines. And so it was just a matter of talking with all the distributors and just figuring out a good, solid, that covers all the bases of pretty much what everyone would love. And then this was the worst part of my job. I'm lying. It was the best part of my job, is trying to figure out what wines to do. And so I had to taste them all.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
That was probably the hardest thing I had to do, was to try all these different wines to figure out which one I felt was the best. that I liked, and then just hope that everyone else did. And of course, I had to change some along the way. Some were kind of a flop. People weren't really enjoying them. So I got suggestions from everyone coming in and changed a few of them. But for the most part, I'd say 90% of them are the same as what I started with. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually that kind of leads me into my next question is, do you change them up? Like, is there a seasonal thing, or are like they're the consistent flights, but then you change it? How often, like for people, because I'm assuming some people come in there fairly regularly, they want something different, right? Or talk to me about that process.
Yes. So I have a staple menu that I just keep all the time. And I do have, you're right, I do have regulars that come in every week. I see them every week, and they like their favorites usually. But usually what happens is people will start out with a flight. If they're not really sure or whatever, they'll start out with a flight. So I do have some staples, a white flight, a red flight, and a sweet flight. So there's usually always somebody that's either a red wine lover, a white wine lover, or they just only like sweets.
Right.
So I do those 3 staples, and then they usually will find one on there that I like, try a glass of it. And that's kind of how the regulars kind of get their favorite and stick with them. But I do also switch out my flights seasonally. So that's exactly what I do. So for this October and November, I actually created a fall flight, and I brought in some new wines. I brought in a pumpkin wine, I brought in a cranberry, and created a flight. Actually, it was kind of a thing I thought of is do it by color. So it looks like the fall colors. There's a red, there's a white, there's a yellow, and there's an orange. So when you have it poured, it looks like fall in glasses.
Yeah.
And then also flavors. So, and then I'll also switch it out and do one for the holidays. And so there'll be a holiday one as well. And then I try and do one usually around Valentine's Day. So those are usually the times that I switch them out.
Yeah. Talk to me about the kind of people that come to the wine bar. Like, is this a girls' night out thing? Is it a couples thing? Like, who comes in?
Yeah. So it's amazing to me. I would say probably 80% are women. However, I have, well, a lot of times I'll have husbands that come in with their wives. That's usually how I get men in. But then, I've had men that come in by themselves. They love wine, and they come in by themselves with their wine log, and they do tastings. And, but I would say the majority are women. The majority are girls' nights out, book clubs, women groups, things like that. But I've also absolutely had date nights. And then I have a lot of people that come in for a glass or an appetizer before they go to dinner while they're waiting on reservations. But yeah, that's usually, but I've had all kinds. I've had all ages, all the way from, brand new 21. They come in on their 21st birthday, all the way up to, I've had somebody in their 80s. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Now, you mentioned you have this back room. What are the kinds of events that are taking place in the Great Escape Room?
Yes. So I try to, again, I try to do seasonal things, but then I also have staples. So I have local artists that come in and we just finished up a wine bottle painting class. It was, we painted on wine bottles, and we did one every month for the entire year. And we did it seasonally. So whatever the holiday or the season was, that's what the bottle was. And then you drink a glass of wine and the artist walks you through painting the bottle. I've done, I do a hunt a killer. So it's like a murder mystery night. And last year we did it where it was a full 6-week program, and everyone came, and it took us 6 weeks to figure out who the murderer was, which was so much fun. This year I'm going to just do a nightly one where it's called Hunt a Killer. It's in a box. It's almost like a game, but it's a murder mystery game. I've done yoga and wine. I've done, what's coming up next I'm doing is a holiday wine cocktail making class. So they'll learn how to make cocktails for the holidays that they can use when they're hosting a party or whatever. But they also make them at that class and try them out. So that's a lot of fun.
Of course. Sampling's always a good thing. It's always good when we have sampling.
Yes, of course. And I do a lot of I work with a local gardener, and she comes in and does classes. They make wreaths or succulent pumpkins or just whatever I can think of. And a lot of people will actually contact me and ask if they can come in and do, we had a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that wanted to do cards and wine. So it's just kind of a whole plethora of things I do.
Yeah. And as you're talking too, like I mean, I imagine that you get people that say, oh, we need a bridesmaid location, or we've got a wedding party coming in for something, or, all the things, right? Like all the things, a baby
Absolutely.
shower. And what
Mhm.
great, because you've got the space, right? So they
I
can come back
do.
and use that space, and you can do whatever you want for that. I love this. I
Absolutely.
think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. And I actually am doing Christmas parties too. So I have a women's group that's coming in December, and they're doing their whole Christmas party with spouses there. So
I
it's
love
just,
this.
it's a really great atmosphere. And then you have the wine already built in, the wine and beer already built in. So
Now, I know we're talking about wine, but we should probably add that sometimes you're with someone that maybe doesn't drink alcohol, or you've got kids with you. So you do
yes,
have other options.
I absolutely do. So for the designated drivers, but they still want to feel like they're having something, I do have a non-alcoholic beer. And then for the kids or people that just want, I have bottled water, I have iced tea, I have soda products, Coke products, Diet Coke,
Yep.
Sprite, Dr. Pepper, all that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is really important, especially because people are being responsible and people are doing the right things. And
Absolutely.
we want to support our law enforcement and what they're right. Like, this is a big thing. I think
Absolutely.
one thing that really sticks out to me too about wine bars is this is not about, oh, I'm just going to go in and go over the board. Like, that's not
No.
what a wine bar is. And I think a lot of people, if they really go and take the time to visit one, they recognize this is about sitting and just sipping on a glass of wine for 2 hours, or, it's about embracing the experience and playing a game while you're in there, listening to music. Let's talk about some of the musicians you bring in.
Yes, yes. So you're exactly right, Deb. It's not I'm going to go here and just, drink until I can't walk out. And it's not like that at all. It's very much about the experience. Everyone that comes in there wanting to connect with somebody else. I almost never see cell phones out, which I love. People are talking, and I've had people stay in there from the time I open until the time I close. I've had people in there for over 5 hours just chatting, and I just absolutely love it. And so I also do, I have live music. I try and do it on Saturday nights, but I have had Debbie Center and Doug Keene. They are a piano and saxophone duo, and they're fantastic. So there's no words necessarily, but they are instrumental and phenomenal. I have them quite a bit. And then I've had Scott Jasmine. I try and do more of a laid back. It's not going to be a hard rock. You're not going to come in and get that. It's definitely music that you can, talk over. It's not going to be what you're competing with. Although so many people love the music that they come to listen to it,
Right,
but then you
absolutely.
are able to talk if you want to. It's not like you're
Right.
going to be blown out like a rock concert or something. So
Yeah. I love this.
Uh-huh.
And you even add special events like fondue night. Let's talk about your fondue night, because I actually had the opportunity to come and do fondue night, and it was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that was one thing that where I used to come from, we had a restaurant called the Melting Pot. And here in the small town of Park Rapids, you just don't have that, and nobody serves the fondue. And it's kind of a project to do if you want to do it on your own. It's not just something easy you can whip up. So I decided to do this one Friday a month. It's the third Friday of every month. I do fondue Friday, and I just create the fondue. It's a cheese fondue, and you have the nice bowl on your table with the actual flame that's warming it up. So it's very romantic, very very nice atmosphere. And then I bring the cheese out, and then you just get a plate of all sorts of things. You have breads, crackers, fruits, vegetables, meats. It's a huge plate. And then you just dip it and have a glass of wine. I also have cheesecake then for dessert. And then I've also brought in coffee as well.
Really?
Yes. And I forgot to mention that when we were talking about the non-alcoholic, I just brought that on. So I'm actually using coffee, and so people can have a cup of coffee if they want to, with that piece of cheesecake. So,
well, for me, that's it. It's like you have your wine with your fondue, but then, coffee with cheesecake is like, that's where it's at, right?
Exactly.
Although I have to say, I have done the wine with the cheesecake, and that was not a bad combo either. Like, there's something It kind of brings out a different thing in the wines. Yeah, let's talk about that cheesecake, because we're not just talking about any kind of cheesecake here. We've got like a salted caramel, cookies and cream. Like you bring in all different flavors of cheesecake.
I do. And again, I found that locally here in Minnesota. It's they're called Ugly Cheesecake. And it's funny, ugly, they are not ugly cheesecake at all. No. They're quite lovely. But the Ugly is actually an acronym for unbelievably good, light, yet cheesecake. And they're out of Brainerd, just two guys. I love them. They're very community based. And so they deliver me new flavors every week. And I mean, I bet 30, 40 different flavors, and I get different ones in each time. I try and do a little bit of fruit, a little bit of chocolate, so we can get everyone to enjoy them. But they got, lots and lots of, and I haven't had one bad one yet. So
yeah, I have to say I've probably eaten them a little more than I should. But they're amazing. They are amazing. Like there's something about, and to me, it's about the experience. And we came down and brought some friends for the fondue night, and I'll tell you what, it was amazing. And I think we were there 3 hours. I'm pretty sure we were there. If I actually look from start to finish, it was about 3 hours. And it's not that we had slow service. I don't want to imply that. It was because it's the experience. It's because it's that you sit down, you might want to try this, you might want to try that. And you're taking your time with the meal. I'll tell you, it reminds me of being in France. And I used to live in France, and people take their time with the meal. They have a conversation. And of course, wine and France just sort of go together.
They do.
But it truly is, it's the experience of the whole thing. And when is the next fondue night? We should let people know. You said the third Friday?
Third Friday. So what is that date? So it's,
I know, I had to start getting in my head. So it'd be, is it 18th?
It's going to be the 18th.
Yeah.
18th.
So November 18th, if you are anywhere near Park Rapids, even if you have to drive, I mean, I live 54 miles from you, but it is well worth the drive to go to this experience. And you do request reservations, right? Because you only have, you want to prepare the time and et cetera, because when you are preparing that fondue, you are literally making it for the people, on the fly,
I am.
It's not like it just sits there for 6 hours all day or something.
No, and I'm making with all fresh ingredients and the cheese and all that. So I'm making it to order. It's not something I just have, purchased and then reheat. I'm actually making it. And so I try to not be too wasteful and not have too much left over, or worse yet, not have enough. So reservations are required for that, just for that reason only, because I'm making it fresh to order for everyone. And I did want to say thank you, Deb, for, that making it sound like it's like a France experience. I love that. That's quite a compliment and very humbling. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Well, it's one of the things that I miss about France. Probably one of the reasons I'm wanted to have you come on is France. It is the connection. It's the people. Like you mentioned, you don't see the cell phones out everywhere. You don't it's like you truly take your time and be with people. And people will often hear me talk about we are human beings, not human doings. Yes. And I think this is part of my whole thing right now, is that what would be possible if we would take a little more time to be sitting with each other, to having those opportunities to sit and chat. And I'm also a person who truly appreciates and enjoys sipping on a good glass of wine. I mean, there's something about that experience even in and of itself. And it's fascinating because, we look at, what do we choose to fuel our bodies with? What do we choose? What does that look like? And I think for me, a self-care is, if I'm going to choose to have a glass of wine, I want to make it count.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Actually, for me, it's actually a piece of, I know people might think this sounds really funny, but it's sort of like, if I'm going to sit and have a glass of wine, I want an experience with it.
100%. And a story along that, Deb, it just happened last week, so it's fresh in my mind. I want to share it. This family came in, and it's a husband and a wife, and then their daughter was 10. And you mentioned it briefly earlier that I do have games there as well that we can play. I have games, all the way from cribbage and trivia all the way down to sorry, that kids that come in and can play. And they came in for a family night, and the daughter, who's 10, said, "This is my all-time favorite place to come." And they
Mm.
sat for 3 hours and played games. They played
Wow.
several games. She drank a Sprite. Her, parents had, they each had a glass of wine, and then one went to drinking soda as well to be, the designated driver on the way
Yep.
home. But it was amazing to watch this family have their family night at a wine bar.
Yeah.
But that's the experience that I go for. And it was really cool. Yeah.
Well, and when we think about it, when you go to Europe, I mean, if like, for example, you go to Ireland, Scotland, I mean, you go to a pub, the whole
Yep.
family's in there, right? Like
Right.
it's a part of the experience, just how people, it just is what it is,
Exactly. Yep.
And I think this is where we can find all kinds of different things to do. But for some people, like this is a piece of culture, right? Like it actually becomes a part of that as well.
Yes.
So I'm sort of curious if you have had the opportunity to actually go visit outside of the Minnesota places, some of these vineyards, or is that on the bucket list?
That is on the bucket list. I was just talking with my distributor and said, I would just love to start visiting some of these places. I did go to an event they had, my distributor in the cities, and they had somebody come who had just come from Germany. And I have my Rieslings from Germany. And so I was able to see pictures, and she kind of went through the experience that she had in Germany. So I felt like I was kind of there, but I definitely want to go 100%. I would love to. I have one from Slovenia that I need to go to.
Oh my gosh. I love this idea. Well, and as you're talking, I mean, I'm even getting these ideas, like how cool would it be to have, like, let's say you've got even just a local person who goes to France and travels there, and they come back and do a slideshow about France, and that particular night you feature French wines or something. Like,
yes.
I mean, how fun would that be? I mean, it's almost like you're there for a moment. You're there,
Absolutely. My distributor has actually done a class on French wines last year, and she did bring some slides because she has been there. So she brought some slides of the vineyards, and then we talked about the region that the wine came from that we were sampling. And so it was so there's also, there's a lot of opportunities to teach as well, which is awesome. People love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so exciting. It's so fascinating. I love all this.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah, talk to me about what is one of the biggest challenges you've had as an entrepreneur?
Probably the biggest challenge I'm having right now. So I'm just a year old, just a little over a year old. And my biggest challenge, as you know, because you've been helping me so wonderfully, thank you, is just getting people to know I'm there. It used to be another business for a long time before I bought this building and renovated it and completely changed it. It was not even a restaurant. And so getting people to realize that I'm there. Usually once I get people there, they, like you said, they love the experience. They love the atmosphere. I have a guest book up on the bar, and people come in and write comments about, I'm so happy I came. We spent 3 hours here. Love the wine, whatever. So that's probably been my biggest struggle, is really just getting people to know I'm there.
Yeah. Which I think for a lot of new businesses, right, is letting people know, and not just the Park Rapids people. Yes. Drawing in people from Walker and Monaga and Wadena and Bemidji, or people traveling from the cities up to visit relatives for the weekend. I think that's another thing is, northern Minnesota draws a lot of people from all over. And hopefully there'll be people as they watch this, like, oh my gosh, I have to go check that place out. Because I do think that people are always looking for different things to do. They're looking for new places to visit, things to try. Yes. And that's one thing that I really like about having these experiences to share with people that normally we may or may not have, right?
Exactly.
Like this is a thing that is really, really cool. I want to make sure that we let people know you are on Instagram, Facebook. Where should they find you to be able to start following you?
Yes. So, like I said, on Facebook, just Why Not Park Rapids, and you should pull that right up. I also have a website, winenotparkrapids.com. I'm located at 110 4th Street West. So I'm right on the corner of Main and 4th in Park Rapids. So you just go down Main Street to 4th, and I'm going to be right there. Instagram, the same thing. It's just Why Not, at Why Not. And phone number is 218-366-2071.
Which is great. And we want to remind people, like, call to get your reservation for the fondue night. The other stuff, you can just come in and, you can, slip away. Karen, is there anything else that you want to share with people that we haven't covered?
No, No, other than just I hit briefly on it, but just to say again, if you are somebody that loves wine and wants to maybe have a project to do, I'm just starting up this new line that I got of winemaking kits. So a lot of people do that in the winter. It's a cold, long winter and you need kind of a project to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I am selling now the kits and the equipment kits and all that. So you can actually get set up and make your own wine at home. I think it's a perfect fit because we're very different. The bar is, you want an experience, you want to go out and you're not going to be at home. But there are those nights you just want to be at home. And if you can make your own wine and I can supply that for you, I would love that. I'm going to be setting up some classes very, very soon. So the people that are interested could look on my Facebook or Instagram and see when that class is going to be, and then come to the class. And I'm going to have a group of us that are going to get together and maybe go visit wineries, maybe do potlucks and kind of create a community of those as well. So
I love this. And, I'm thinking about, as you're talking about, there may be people out there who've been like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. They can come to the class. So it's not like they just have to figure it out on their own. I don't know if anybody happens to watch this video and you're connected with the girls' weekend getaway trips, you need to get in touch with Karen, because how cool, they do those mystery things and then the bus shows up and oh my gosh, you have to be a stop on one of those tours. I think it would be 100%. So much fun.
Yes.
So great. Please. It would be so, I can totally see it. Like all of a sudden the bus pulls up and here everybody comes in and oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing.
Yes,
so cool.
Absolutely.
So cool.
Absolutely.
Well, Karen, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today for the Infusion of Joy Fall series. Like this has been so much fun. And I was laughing because, I'm drinking water, but I was thinking I should, of course, it's only 12 o'clock. I was like, yeah, probably won't look so good if I've got here with my glass of wine.
With your glass of wine, right.
But I did kind of think about it like as a prop. It would have been, this would have been fun to be sitting here sipping out of my, glass.
Oh, there you go. That would have been good. But no, I get it. We're early in the day still. But
yeah,
I want to thank you, Deb, for having me on. It's just been so much fun, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we wish you the best of success, of course, with Wine Not in Park Rapids. Friends, if you've been watching this, we want to just encourage you to check Karen out. Well, not check her. I'm sorry, that just sounded funny.
Wine Not out. Yeah.
Well, I want you to check Wine Not out and see what she's got for her selections. And I'm telling you guys, that fondue night is a lot of fun. What a great thing to get a group of friends together and check it out and just have a really good time. Seriously, like it is so much fun. So Karen, thanks again. Karen Acker, Wine Not Park Rapids. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to all of you for choosing to watch today. We want to remind you to go out, live, share, and lead with joy. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.